Democrats cranking up the outrage machine and going after President Trump following the release of court memos on Paul Manafort and Michael Cohen. Party leaders now pushing impeachment and also the possibility of prison time for the president.
Certainly they'd be impeachable offenses because even though they were committed before the president became president, they were committed in the service of fraudulently obtaining the office.
There's a very real prospect that on the day Donald Trump leaves office, the Justice Department may indict him, that he may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
The walls are closing in on Donald Trump and his inner circle, including his family.
This criminal must be brought up by the Congress of the United States for impeachment.
When the evidence becomes so clear that you very likely have a criminal sitting in the Oval Office, what is the Congress left to do at that point?
Okay. President Trump fighting back, saying there's no smoking gun, no collusion, and that the payment detailed in the Cohen report was a simple private transaction. Juan, I'm going to use an analogy here. Let's say Hillary Clinton...
You didn't ask permission.
Because Gutfeld's not here. Let's say Hillary Clinton decided to get Botox in September 2016. She paid, $10,000, $20,000, whatever Botox costs. Decides she wants Botox.
But not $20,000.
Whatever it costs. I don't know what it costs.
Not that I know. Not that
okay,
I know.
whatever she pays, okay? And she doesn't report it to the FEC afterwards. And she's elected president, and then the Republicans find out, oh, Hillary got Botox, and she didn't report it on the FEC filing. And now she needs to be impeached. What would be the difference?
The difference?
Tell me what the difference would be, Mr. Williams.
You know, sometimes I think it's Christmas season. I've got to be nicer. But Jesse, that's
private transaction.
Jesse, is that a
private transaction?
Private transaction
between her and the Botox lady.
Are you? I mean, Jesse, we're talking here
consensual
about campaign
Botox
finance violation potential by individual one, according to his fixer, who said individual one told him to make this payment at a critical moment in the midst of a campaign.
Okay, the Botox would have been a critical moment.
Well,
before the debates, Williams, right before she's on TV.
Oh, yeah. Remember, I think the better analogy, remember when she was sick and people asked her if she was sick and she didn't say, and then she was stumbling to the car? Maybe you could say, oh, we should tell people if you're sick.
It's not a financial transaction.
But similarly, I would say that when someone, in fact, hides relevant material from the voters, the argument is you're deceiving us. You're
okay. Well, Juan, if you can impeach a politician for being deceitful, we'd never have a president.
That's a different question. You didn't say impeach. You asked an analogous question, but that's not impeach.
Well, they're trying to impeach him based off of this private transaction.
This is Republican grievance politics. Oh, they're going to impeach him. No, they're not even in power yet, Jesse.
Well, they're talking a lot about impeachment because we watched that sound right there. So Dan Backer, a lawyer who does this for a living, says that this is brand protection. And brand protection is not a campaign finance violation, and it's perfectly legal.
Huh. Well, I guess they could try that and see how it works. I mean, campaign finance violations, I think that's the least interesting part of all of this, partly because there is the over-criminalization of campaign finance violations. But we do have campaign finance laws. It's just that they're not exactly clear-cut. And after John Edwards' situation, remember, he was acquitted, but only by a jury. Mm-hmm. That was actually went all the way. So the Justice Department had said, look, we have to fulfill our obligation and prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. But the brand protection one, I haven't heard that one.
That's a good one.
I'd be able to use it.
You're welcome, if you're watching. So the other issue, too, because the Democrats and the Republicans in Congress, they have this big slush fund where they're paying out all these non-consensual sexual settlements over the last 10 years to the tune of, I think, several $1 million. And then this is a consensual transaction, and payments were made. What's the difference?
I think a couple of things are going on. Whether you are all for Donald Trump or against Donald Trump, by the way the indictment was written, according to legal experts, with the flowery language instead of the dry legalistic approach, it looks as though they're going after Trump. There's no doubt about it. So whether you think they should or shouldn't, let's just put that aside for a second. They are going after Trump to try to say that he directed Michael Cohen, because he already said it during Michael Cohen's sentencing, they directed Michael Cohen to make the payments. So Trump's got to think of not whether it's right or wrong or comparing to Hillary Clinton or not. It doesn't matter. The Southern District of New York is trying to take him down. Now, the question is, what exactly did he deceive the American people on and get to his office falsely? Did anyone actually think that Donald Trump was the second coming of some high-level hope? No, they knew his background. They knew what was going on. And this is no different from if you're in a business world and your partner doesn't like you and you're going to run for office, that partner comes out and says, you know, that Brian Kilmeade, he robbed me of money, and whether you did or not, you just don't want that partner coming forward. I got to run for office. So you walk up to the guy and go, or the woman, you say, listen, what's it going to take to get this, put this away? I got to run for office. Boom, you get it done. So Michael Cohen directing, being directed or not being directed, that's what the Southern District of New York thinks is a problem. And if he doesn't take it serious, he's foolhardy. He's got to get on the offensive here, address it directly, get a legal strategy, and go after it. Opinion should not matter. Don't cheerlead or boo. You just got to get, this is the reality. This is the game.
It is interesting, Morgan, that now they're not trying to go after him for collusion or obstruction. Now it's just a campaign finance violation.
They're doing
come
both.
a long way.
They're doing both,
That's
though.
true. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Botox analogy.
Yeah,
I think that's airtight. Airtight. Take it to the bank.
Insurance should be covering that.
You know, if I don't think that this
Wait,
works.
insurance covers that?
Yeah.
I don't think impeachment over these sorts of issues worked for Clinton politically. Like for the Republicans, it backfired on the Republicans. I think it would backfire on the Democrats. I mean, let's just think about this. If you start to have impeachment hearings in the House or and then later in the Senate, think about who's going to be at those hearings testifying. It's going to be Stormy Daniels. Avenatti is going to be there. I mean, think about the chaos that Avenatti ensued during the Kavanaugh hearings. I mean, some people think the total circus, three-ring circus. Some people think that during Kavanaugh hearings that he, you know, the whole thing that he was doing there sort of gave the Kavanaugh a win, right? And so I just think if you just take a step back and think what these impeachment hearings could look like with these whole cast of characters, it would be terrible for Democrats going into a 2020. But if that's what they want to do, if they want to bring Avenatti up before the Congress and Stormy Daniels, I mean, be my guest.
Morgan, they're trying to make him unelectable. They're trying to make him unelectable in 2 years.
Is this about sex again, Juan?
Is it about sex?
Yeah, is it about, are we back in the 90s? Is this all outrage about sex again? Is that the only thing driving this? Because the campaign finance violation reporting error, I mean, that's impeachable?
You think so? Now I look like an evangelical to you here because they're the ones that are really dealing with hypocrisy. They're the ones that would agree with you, Jesse. It's about sex. This is about lying, Jesse.
Yes.
The president, even after he was elected to office, said that he didn't have anything to do with a payment to any of these women.
So we're back to lying about sex.
No,
we're back to Bill Clinton in the 90s.
We're talking about lying to the American people. If you are running for the highest office,
you sound like a Republican in 1998.
Well, I'm just telling you of who I am. I'm a Democrat in 2018, and I'm saying, as Brian said, this is a serious charge by the Southern District, the federal prosecutors in New York, against individual number one, unnamed but now widely assumed.
I don't think they ever prosecute campaign finance violations
charge.
as felonies. This is never prosecuted, almost ever.
Well, it was prosecuted
Yes, it was.
for John Edwards, for example. And I think that, like, a lot of the people that you saw in the montage earlier, they probably would have tried to make the opposite argument.
Well, John Edwards didn't pay out of his own pocket. That was an actual donation.
So then the question would be, so did he direct the campaign donor to do it for him? Like, a lot of, like, it didn't happen, right? So he was acquitted by a jury, but also he wasn't president of the United States. He was, or even vice president. So it is murky. But I also think that the Democrats have a big communications problem on their hand because they have multiple audiences to talk to all at once. They have a restless base who want to do nothing but go after the president. They have new members who say, like, wait, I just fought a really tough campaign because I want to do stuff. I want to work on health care. I want to work on and I can tell you, if they go down this road of just doing impeachment, it basically takes up all the oxygen. There's no time to do anything else. And so then what happens? People get demoralized. People want to leave. I ended up leaving the Congress. Of course, I met Peter on an airplane, but I was looking for a way to go to leave the Congress. I mean, basically, they'd spent a year and a half just going after Bill Clinton, and it was kind of boring as a staffer because it wasn't going anywhere. So politically, I think they've got a huge problem on the Democratic side as they decide how to go forward.
Absolutely true. And obviously, if you were worried about them overstepping, you saw this weekend some of the extreme language.
Yeah.
But it was brought up by Andrew McCarthy, who went to college for to get a law degree, and very smart guy. He says in 2008, Barack Obama was guilty of violations to the tune of $2 million. He paid a $375,000 fine. This whole case with Cohen is $280,000. So he should be paying a fine. This should not be something above above a fine, unless this new Justice Department wants to put the screws to Trump in a way they wouldn't want to put it to
That's a total
Obama.
apples and oranges situation, but I'll leave it alone because we need to go to a break. But I will say, there is nothing. What happened with Barack Obama, for which he was a matter of actually overpayment, underpayment. It wasn't a matter of, oh, guess what? I'm going to take money and use it to advance my campaign without disclosing it.
Advance your campaign.
Yeah, that's what he did. He hid the fact that he was paying money to these women.
Unless they use the brand defense.
Yes, or the Botox defense, brand defense or Botox. Both of them work.